Yesterday we just released some new features for the web store. These features are may seem small, but they've been months in development, and we're really excited to start the process of redoing the website for mobile, smartphone use. Right now, the Bookmanager web store works great when you're looking at it from a desktop computer or a tablet with a larger screen, but as soon as you pop onto a smartphone or a small screen device, it just doesn't work. It's too small. You have to pinch, and zoom to look at different things, and things like the login box and other areas just don't function, all that well. So our past year of web store development, a little under a year of development, has been planning for this, trying to figure out a strategy for redoing the website for what we call responsive layout, or so that it'll look nice on your smartphone. So one of the first things we did and we wanted to tackle was the contact and hours page, or more so it was just the contact us page, and it was kind of an eyesore. So for years and years we didn't do much changes on it, but we recently released, again just yesterday, a refined version of that page. So your current or your existing Contact Us page has been replaced on your web store, your consumer web store, with a Contact and Hours page. This is the grabbing some information from your previous page, but it requires you to have a look at it, because we threw in some default images and figures, and you may need to tidy it up. So if you log into your web store right now, and I'll just log in right now. Mosaic Books, so make sure you're logged in with a staff account. This will allow you to make changes with this page. So you'll notice you should have a new menu item called Contact and Hours. If you don't see this menu item, perhaps it's hidden. So you can always check that by going into your site content, so the pencil icon here, check under your site pages, and here it'll be one of the built-in. You'll see different types. You have custom and built-in. So the Contact and Hours is a built-in, and just make sure that it's set to visible down here. If it's set to hidden, then you'll need to make it visible. So you can do that by hitting the edit button here and changing its status from hidden to visible. But in our case, it's visible, so we're good to go. So to change content on that page, have a look. Let's click over to it. And you can see I've already gone through and made our page, so it's ready to go. But to get here, it's a lot simpler than, say, creating other site content pages. We've taken a lot of the customization out of your hands and just given you a few options so you can quickly make a very nice looking Contact and Hours page. First thing you'll probably notice is there's a big colorful image in the background, a big background image, and we have loaded a default image, just like a placeholder image on your site right now. It's kind of a blurry image of a bookstore or a retail environment. So that image can be changed. So like a lot of other site content, when you hover over it, you'll get a little edit button that pops up. So if you hover over, say, the Contact and Hours area here, or the background, you'll get a little edit button that pops at the top here. And if we click it, you can edit basically this whole banner page. So you can choose to reword this. If you don't like the wording of Contact and Hours, you can specify some different wording. You can change the text size here if you want to make it smaller or bigger. You can choose the color of this text. You can decide if you want to have a drop shadow. It's a very subtle effect, but depending on how busy your background image is, you may want to add a little bit of a shadow effect to it. And you can upload an image. So using the browse button here, you can bring up our new file browser for uploading images, and you can choose to upload a new file or choose from your currently stored images. So that's also a new release. We kind of just snuck under the table there, but the new browse, image uploader is released as well. So you can add an image, and you can choose even the background opacity. So how an opacity of 1 means it's fully there, but you can decrease it to make it kind of fade away, and you'll see it starts to blend in with my background. My background image for my web store. So you can do some neat things. We've given you the tools to get creative and have some fun. All this sort of stuff is saved instantly, so as soon as you change any little bit of information, it's saved automatically, so you don't need to find a save button. It is saved. So you can see that just by clicking in an option, it makes the change, and that's it. So when you're done, you can just click the little X and you're good to go. So that's changing the top wording and also the background image. And of course, if you don't want a background image, just set again the background opacity to 0 and you're good to go. but in this case I want to keep our image, and yeah, so we'll leave it like that. The next area you can change is this square. So this area here auto-populates from what we have on file for you. So if any of this information looks incorrect, such as your address, your phone number, if you have a toll-free number, or your email address, if any of that looks incorrect, you want to contact us, because we are grabbing that from our records and we want to make sure we have the correct information. Otherwise, the edit button here is more used for the styling. So you can change the color of this text. So I've got it set to white. You can change the background color of this box. So I've got it kind of a dark gray color. And with that, you can also change the opacity as well. They've got a little slider at the bottom here that allows you to, again, dial in the opacity if you want to, again, make it sort of see-through. So again, you can see you can see a bit of the image through it, and it's an effect I was going for. But again, you can choose, if you slide the slider all the way to the right, it'll make it completely solid. But if you want, you can really dial it in and get that effect you're looking for. You can also choose to change the title of the hours. So right now it can't see it. I'll just close this, and if we go down maybe a little bit more and hit edit, well, this will change the hours title size. So if you want large or small. And I don't have any special days here, but we've introduced a new calendar, or more so your operating hours. So with that here, you'll see that you've actually got, it's listing our store hours, and this is not a free-form field like it was before. Instead, it's actually set up in your web store settings. So if you log into your contact and hours page for the first time, you'll probably see in this here, there's a big red banner saying that basically this is now edited and changed in your web store settings area. And that what you see right now, you may see a little placeholder, like a white box with some hours or some text in it. And that is just a placeholder until you set this up in your web store settings. All that really means is, once again, you want to hover over this area and you want to use the edit button. So the edit button will then bring you into your web store settings, which is again a new area we released a few weeks ago. But under here, you'll notice there's an hours menu. So whether you get to it by using the edit button, or if you get to it from your web store settings, there's an hours section. And again, this is where you can set up your hours. So you can have a title. So we've chosen spring hours. And you can choose which days you're open and the times you open and close at. And you can also add special dates. So if you have a special date that's coming up, a holiday or a stat holiday, you can add a special date, choosing the calendar, and add some hours, and then you can enable it. And then what will happen, so let's just head back up to the contact page here. Right now, we're not seeing any of those special hours, because what we've done is we've decided to only show those hours when they're in the next coming week. So when, a week from now, what we're going to see is a pop out at the bottom here that will say, well, let's just do it. Let's just go in and add some special hours just so I can show you. We'll add special day, and we'll just add it for, basically, let's just do it for this coming Monday. So I'm gonna, oh wait, that's December. So let's get on to, let's go back. It's really going far ahead here. So we're in June, and we'll go for Monday, the 11th. And what we're gonna then do here is add in, again, whatever hours we want. We can say, let's just do some crazy time. So that's done. We've now added those hours. So now if we go back to our contact page, we should see at the bottom a special call out. Now that this date is within, say, the next week or so, it's going to display it and again, separate it with a highlight color, which you can change. If you hover over this top area here, this is what this special days text color means. This is the color we've chosen, so you can go ahead and choose a different color if you'd like to have this displayed that way. But basically, it's a nice way for you to schedule in and mark down all your store hours in advance, so you don't have to change your banners, or you don't have to make any changes. And again, they will remove themselves after the date has passed. You'll also see asterisks appear on your hours here, indicating which day, what's coming up and what the special hours are. So kind of a cool feature. You'll see that in Google will have features like this. So we wanted to make your website a little easier to schedule your hours and keep up to date. There's one last area at the very bottom here, or there's two areas I guess to go through. Really, it's these. You've got a freeform area, just like before. You have an area where you can put whatever you want in, and so we've decided to put in our personnel contacts. So this is some staff members and their contact information. You don't have to specify anything in this area, but we've chosen to. And again, you'll have a little edit button that will appear when you're logged in that will allow you to make changes to this area and save it. And again, by default, this area is left blank. Or if you had something before in your previous contact page, it will have ported over. So you want to have a look just to make sure that information looks okay and it's still correct. So pretty simple. The last area we have on the contact and hours page is the map. So we've gone with a new map. It's more colorful, it's open source, but it works just like any other map, and it's basically grabbing your store's address from what we have on file and also from your footer, and it's trying to pinpoint your business on the map. It should be correct, but if it is not, you will get an edit button. So this is where you can now go, as the instructions say, drag the store marker to the desired location, and then once you've dragged it and dropped it, you can click save, and that's where it will display it. So if it's off a little bit, you can always use the plus or minus buttons here to zoom in if you want to get really accurate. Like we could technically drag this a little more, but it's there. It's quite a nice looking map, and you can click and drag around, and you can really zoom out if you want. So we're pretty happy with this little map feature. And of course, it's responsive. It stretches the full width of your monitor, and it looks nice. So that's the fully reworked contact and hours page. It will look pretty good on your phone. There's still some more work to be done on it, but basically it is one of the first areas we've updated. So that's part one of this release and this feature review. So what I mentioned at the beginning is we are working towards trying to make the site more mobile friendly. Well, it's not even more. We're going to make it mobile friendly so that your customers who want to shop on your site using their phone with a small screen, the experience will be optimized for that device. So the first thing we've rolled out for that is what we call the nav bar, short for navigation bar. But the nav bar is what contains the searching, your logo, and some of your other icons like your cart and your login box. So you'll probably notice right off the bat it looks a little different because it's now the full width of my browser window. The icons are no longer kind of crowded in the center. It's not fixed width. It will respond to the width of your monitor. Way to look at this really is if we minimize your browser and we start to click and drag, we can see that it starts to resize, but once it gets to a certain point, once it gets to almost like a phone size, poof, it changes. So you can see right at that point, some icons disappear, and instead what you get is this little icon here, which signifies more menu items. So if you click it, it's where it's gonna, the site content, my lists, and activity icons go. For consumers right now, this menu icon will simply bring up the my lists area. But what we hope to do is eventually roll up these menus here, which can get a little funny on a phone view right now, and we want to roll them up into this drop-down menu as well. So again, we've laid the groundwork for what's to come, but right now this is the first piece that will resize and shrink down and keep resizing, all based on your screen size, which is kind of nice. So that's a preview of where we're headed. Our next areas will be tackling browse and the cart and any consumer focused areas. So our priority is making the web store responsive and mobile friendly for your consumers. And our last priority is to make things like, say, the analytics or catalog area full featured for a phone. So that will be coming at one point because it all is linked together, but really the consumer experience is our top priority. So we're in the midst of looking at browse, and that one's a bigger one. It's a big fish to fry. So hopefully in the next few months we'll have something to show you. So we are of course working lots in the back end, and it's you may not see much, and all of a sudden one day we'll send out a letter, or again you'll see something will change on your website. So stay tuned for all those changes. The last thing I should say, site content appearance tab here where you set up your logo up top here. Just be aware that if you have a really wide logo, so a logo that really extends the width here, when you start to really shrink your screen, it can make your search bar really, really tiny. So it's good for anyone who has a really wide logo to have a look, to take their browser and scroll its width down to make sure it looks okay when you start to get really small. And this is about as small as a phone will ever get. I think a phone has a width, like the smallest or oldest phones that are supported right now, like Apple iPhone 5s and stuff, have about 480 pixels or so of a screen width, so about this width here. So this is about as small as you need to go. So you'll never have any devices that are, say, this small, but about this small, and that's what we're kind of optimizing for, that size and larger. So I hope you like our new features. Have any questions, give me a shout. Of course, I have been championing this project for a while, so I'd appreciate your feedback and any suggestions you may have.